short. They called you Bob, you know. So Bob Beck he was a doctor, and basically he was the first doctor to come up with colloidal silver as being a colloidal silver and DMSO, which is chlorine dioxide. And it's, with the colloidal silver, what it does is it's a good source that basically kills bacteria, fungus, viral infections. And how this is done, it purifies the water, so it draws out like a vacuum cleaner all the pollutants out of the blood, white blood cells, and it restores it to its original state. Colloidal silver is commonly used for flu and cold. It's classified as a dietary supplement. It is natural. It's 100% natural. You can make it at home if you have the right, supplies. But it's basically an amber water. It's tiny silver particles. It looks like amber.
It's good for killing vampires.
Yeah, and it's tasty.
So let me ask you a question about that colloidal silver. So, what is the advantage to you of being able to have a remedy that you can actually make yourself, where you don't have to get a prescription from like a doctor, which costs money, right? If we're all of us are having a hard time economically, the newspaper, right? The unemployment rate went from 4%, 3.5%, 4% to 13% in 1 month with the stock market crash last month. It went from 30,000, Wall Street was like 30,000, went down to 20,000. So the thing about this, what I like about this colloidal silver is the idea that you can take control of your own health. You're the one that makes the decision.
It's
Cost effective, and you're in charge.
Yeah, it's something that a guy he took it and they posted a video on YouTube. He was on Oprah's show and he turned blue. Well, a lot of people got a misconception of what actually happened. That guy, he took administered it, into his bloodstream, and also he was taking extremely high dosages of this supplement, and he was taking a more concentrated type of colloid, and this is exactly why he turned blue. But it has been proven to be a very good aid in cancer, so many different illnesses, even burn victims. When they're burned, they use colloidal silver because it has a very nutritive. They actually use tasteless, it doesn't burn. It costs about, in the store, you can probably, go from $12 to $40, and it's definitely worth the money we're spending. We spend a lot of money going to the doctor, and getting prescriptions and things like that. And sometimes it's not always convenient. So to have something at home that you can have in your medicine cabinet that has that's highly effective in healing alignments, I think is a huge benefit. So I've myself have used it, and I have also have friends that have also used it, within their illnesses, and it has, their doctors have been, jaw dropped at how they recuperated, with their whatever illness they had. So it's something that I was going to try to suggest for maybe scientists or who's ever coming up with the cures and the trials for this COVID-19, to definitely, see what effect that might have,
Mhm.
because that might be, it could be, I could see it definitely being a key part, if not healing it, at least, containing it, or, just being some type of remedy to treat the COVID-19, because since it is a virus, it has the flu symptoms, and colloidal silver is known for its flu.
One of the things I like about this is the fact that because all the scientists of the world now are clueless, right? They've been working on the wrong thing, the whole planet. They're turning to people like you. They're like, okay, that's a good idea. Let's try it out. Let's do an experiment, right? Before this, let's take the good part of this COVID-19 thing. The good part is it's bringing us together to solve it as a planet. It's not about, relying on someone else to tell you what to do. It's about doing the experiment.
There's no discredit to doctors.
Yeah.
Because they are definitely trained professionals that have spent years,
Right.
To understand the anatomy of human and the biology. They are more suitable to, I guess, understand the individual conditions, that we might face. So this is only really acknowledging, the fact that, basically you have to get diagnosed. So when you go to a doctor and you get diagnosed for something, the doctor is going to tell you the best thing probably that's for you that will heal you. But this is an alternative. Colloidal silver. It's an alternative. So this is something that you don't rely totally on. You want to definitely get some doctor's, advice, or definitely consult with the doctor.
Right.
Even tell the doctor that you want to use the colloidal silver as a possible treatment.
Well, like one of the things we do in science is we keep a lab notebook. People can, zinc.
Zinc is wonderful.
Zinc
for
is
the
a
immune
really
system.
good.
It helps build up the immune
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
And also helps block the viral connection to the white blood cells
Right.
and other blood cells.
It affects, what it is the cell trafficking pathway.
Yeah.
The virus, it hijacks the cell trafficking pathway, and what it is the zinc is involved in the chemistry in the cell for that. So what zinc does is it basically aids your cells in clearing out the virus. It's like adding lube to your car, or oil to your car. So the idea is
Penetrate the.
Yeah. So what it is when you nutraceuticals, right? There's a lot of different kinds of medicine besides the idea of drugs that target illnesses that are already occurring. Homeopathic medicine is a Western medicine style that resembles something like Ayurveda in India, or Chinese medicine, which all are much more about preventing illness in the first place. A lot of the problem with the modern Western medicine is that it's reactive. The future of medicine is to be proactive. Okay, instead of paying $100,000 for lung cancer, right? Don't smoke, or go for a walk. Instead of eating shitty food and fast food, eat some vegetables. Right? It's going to go a long way. For example, with this COVID-19. What I do is I take L-arginine, I take vitamin C, and I go into that. Why? L-arginine is useful for potentiating what's called the nitric oxide signaling pathway. It's involved in reducing inflammation. It makes your heart healthier. L-arginine is what I did my PhD in, the biochemistry of. I solved the receptor of nitric oxide in 2 different states using a technique called nuclear magnetic resonance. It's the same physics as MRI. I have a world-class background in this from Berkeley Chemistry. Okay, one of the top, if not the top, chemistry programs on the planet. And the thing about it is I had a spiritual change about 10 years ago. I saw the greed and the corruption associated with these big universities like Berkeley, MIT, and Harvard, where they only work for the big corporations. In my case, at Berkeley, big oil. Okay, what happened was at Berkeley, when the Iraq War started, Berkeley became an oil company. Essentially, British Petroleum took over Berkeley. Now, having this insider information, I left 10 years ago, and that's why I'm interested so much in this holistic medicine. It's not like it's just random, right? But you have to keep a diary. You have to keep a journal. You are the only one, in other words, that knows how you feel, right? You are the only one that knows how you feel, and to be proactive is to keep records, to document stuff, and you'll be a systematic person that way. Right.
That don't mean you have to explore them all, but just know what options you do have. Because you never know what kind of remedy that might be the best thing or might be the more appropriate thing. Because I think medicine is a great thing for our society. It has done astronomical things for health. But also, I do know some of these drugs have side effects, and especially when you get older in age, these side effects can be kind of hard to deal with.
Totally.
So to have an alternative to say I want to take a natural way about healing is just I think it's a very good thing to kind of revert back to. Like you said, the zinc, how that works, that you just taught me something,
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I'm
also things like what's interesting about the medicine I'm on. I have PTSD and bipolar disorder 1. Okay, I take a medicine called Depakote. It took me 10 solid years to get to the point where I could understand what is the right cocktail of the medicine for me to stabilize my what's called manic depressive illness. It's another term for bipolar. The interesting thing about this drug, I've done a lot of research recently. There was a data science competition by a guy named Suraj Ravel. He's a really cool YouTuber who does these kind of public outreach YouTubes. What they did was he did a crowdsourced competition with people around the planet to find new drug or old drugs for new problems. One of the pieces of data, one of the drugs that emerged was actually this Depakote, or the generic is called valproic acid. The interesting thing about it is that for treating bipolar disorder, the valproic acid affects the brain's neurotransmitters, the actually what's called the synaptic vesicles. In other words, the neurons that connect to each other by the release of these vesicles into what's called axons. The biochemistry of how they treat the bipolar is the Depakote. It basically affects the cell trafficking pathway, which changes the way that the nerves secrete the neurotransmitters. But in what's called a pleiotropic effect. Pleiotropic effect means off target. Okay, drugs always have pleiotropic effects. They may develop a drug, say for bipolar, but if you take it, it's going to have a lot of other effects in the body too.
Yeah.
So the thing is, Depakote or valproic acid, based on what this data science competition suggests, the data, I'd like to go more into it, but basically what it suggests is, to me, is it may have a mild antiviral property. And what it kind of makes sense if you think about the fact that the cell trafficking pathway can be affected because it's the same biochemistry. It's conserved from yeast up to humans. And there was a really famous scientist I studied with at Berkeley called Randy Sheckman. And there was another one at MIT called Susan Lindquist. We were treating neurodegenerative diseases with yeast because the cell secretion pathway is conserved. It's an ancient pathway conserved from yeast all the way up to humans. The proteins that are involved in cell trafficking are absolutely conserved through evolution. So what people don't realize when they work in the hospitals, they're not on the front line of developing the medicines. We call them trained car mechanics in science. Okay, a trained car mechanic may be good at spinning a wrench, but they don't necessarily have the insight to understand the basic science, how to build these medicines.
Just like
you know,
the colloidal silver. What
right.
I like, what's interesting about how that works is basically it's able to actually the chlorine dioxide. It's able to take oxygen and carry it into the cell and penetrate the cell to kill the bacteria around the cell. And then it's so highly effective at doing is that it basically it even kills the good bacteria in the body. So after treatment, it's recommended that you take vitamins to restore your body with this natural, it's natural minerals. But I think it's very interesting, how it works because it's understanding. Basically, what he's saying is understanding how it works. When you understand how you're able to about taking it in with what you consider, treatment. It's like cancer and chemo and things like that. It has its good and its bad, but you have a choice to say, do I want to have surgery to have this removed?
Right.
Cancer spreading by being exposed to the air, or do I want to do chemo, which is has side effects of hair loss and also pain. So it's just about exploring your options, knowing your options, exploring your options, and finding the best option for you.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it comes down to. But definitely understand the ins and outs, and the ups and downs, and everything about whatever whatever treatments you choose to aid your illnesses.
Well, I think what's exciting about this is the fact that if you think about tribes, like going back to I spent like 3 years with Native Americans out west. One of the things they shared with me when I was in Minnesota, there was a really close friend named Elizabeth Campbell. She shared with me in Minnesota, the Minnesota tribe, the Dakota, Ojibwe, and Lakota. There was three. Well, I forget the third. They had 3 different zodiac signs for the stars.
Right.
The thing was, back in the day, before colonialization, each tribe had its own style of medicine, their own native knowledge of indigenous knowledge of medicinal plants based on where they lived. So, for example, the Lakota people, which is now modern day like Dakotas, they knew a lot about how to use the buffaloes, right? The Ojibwe, they knew a lot about the forest, because like northern Minnesota and up into Canada is like the forest. Here in Georgia, you had the Cherokee up in the mountains. And I believe in southern Alabama, you think you have the Choctaw. I'm not as knowledgeable about like the southern, but the basic gist of it is the medicine. They knew the plants, and John here is an expert at this. He amazes me with his ability to like find a plant, pull it out of the Lena, and just be like, this plant, So, you're Native American part blood, right? Yeah. So.
Dakota. Yeah, I think going back to inception, our bodies were naturally designed to heal themselves, and I think as over time, as we kind of changed our diet, have made unhealthy choices, it has kind of had an effect on our immune system and our recuperative factors in our body. So, I think that the natural, I strongly recommend natural way vegan. Just taking a healthy, making a healthy choice, meat, and more vegetables and fruits.
Certain spices like mustard, turmeric, garlic, ginger, onion. Things like if you didn't know, you could actually take the magnolia leaf and chew the magnolia leaf, which has extreme, highly concentrated antibiotical properties.
Oh wow!
You chew it, you spit it out, put it on a wound. I mean, it doesn't taste very good, but it's got a natural antibiotic to it. That's why you never see magnolias being eaten by insects anymore.
Right.
Another thing, this may sound crazy, but you got things like belladonna, which is deadly nightshade. The root of belladonna, once crushed, put on a wound, it'll help heal the wound. It'll cause things, bacteria and things from infecting the wound, because it is a highly concentrated toxin.
Right.
Some of these natural plants and things that you see every day around you I mean, certain grasses have natural antibiotic senses. Monkey grass, things they call sawgrass. If you ever needed to puncture or to get rid of like a lesion on your skin, you could take yucca plant, heat up the tip of the yucca plant and pierce the wound, and then drain it. Yucca plant also is edible. The root of the yucca is edible. You have things out here like bloodroot, which, you know, for women, if you don't know, bloodroot can be used to help with the menstruation cycle. It'll ease the pain. However, it does have some side effects. Ginseng has a major health beneficial properties. Then you've got things like guarana, creatine for helping your body build up muscle strength, and then you have you know, just natural things like water. You know, washing your.
Well, we need to get this water clean. This is the future of this. Once this COVID-19 is cleared out or whatever, the Water is Life movement is on. People, the rest of our lives, water is life. Minnewaconee, that's what we chanted at Standing Rock. It's our blood. It's the blood of Mother Earth. The water is the life blood of the Mother Earth, and we have to. I'm glad you mentioned water, because it's like we gotta be able to drink out of the stream again. That's how I see it.
I'm going to show you something, and I know most of you say, "Oh, that's bad for you." Tobacco, natural tobacco. The leaf itself has high concentrated antibiotic properties. You take it, you rub it on a sore or a wound, it'll draw out poisons and toxins. You know, you can eat tobacco if you have, let's say you get pinworms. All right, if you take and you chew a tobacco leaf, like off of a cigar, and swallow the juice, it's nasty, it's nasty, it's nasty, but it will kill the worms. You know, you can feed tobacco to your dogs if they have, it's not suggested all the time, but you could cut open a cigarette, sprinkle it in your dog's food if your dog has worms, hookworms. It'll help get rid of the hookworms. These are things that people don't look at as natural ways of taking care of your body.
Apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar is great.
What is that? How does that work?
Apple cider vinegar is basically it's good at exactly. It's good at
Digestive.
and just cleaning the body. You know.
Okay.
Getting toxins out of the body. It's a good recommendation that you can take like maybe a shot of it
Cool.
once a day to just help keep your digestive system regulated, and remove the toxins and irritants out of our body. Drive us toward being proactive and
Perfect.
good health.
Well, I'm going to sign off. Let's get a final for a new world.
It's going to be a new world order.
The new world order is coming.
And COVID-19 for president.
COVID-19 for president. We have a new gang. This is the new gang. It's the COVID-19 gang. We have a gang sign, not a gang sign, graffiti art. That's coming later.
COVID-19. It's the Crimson COVID.
The Crimson Contagion.
Yeah.
Whatever.